Mrs. Hudson smiled as she unpacked the tender strawberries that had rewarded her early arrival in Eastbourne that morning. Funny, the things one was proud of in life. This life. Potato salad on a spring day, perfect berries from Mr. Brace's stall, served with the thick cream that Mrs. Philpott promised to send over. Scrubbed kitchen work tables, shelves without dust, the gleam of sun on fresh polished floors. Trust, upheld and unbroken. When the baskets were empty, their contents stored away, Mrs. Hudson wiped her hands on the cloth and looked around, conscious again of that vague sense of unease. A smell that didn't belong here. Leaking gas? Something going off in the pantry? She walked back and forth but couldn't find it and tried to dismiss the sensation. Tea. That was what she needed. Mary must be even more intent on her work than usual, since she had not appeared to help put away the shopping. Not likely she'd gone off for a walk in the rain. Even the papers had said the sky would clear up by afternoon. The housekeeper reached for the shiny copper whistling kettle, only to discover that it was not only full of water, but slightly warm. She frowned. Oh, don't tell me I walked out and left my new birthday present over the flame. Have I done this before? Is that why Mary gave me one with a whistle, so I don't burn down the house with being absent-minded? She was not yet 70, far too young to have her mind go soft. She set the kettle down on the flame and stood kneading her arthritic fingers, wondering how to find out if she'd been absent-minded without asking directly. Questions like that were difficult with someone as sharp as Mary Russell. She shook her head and took down the floured teapot, laid out spoons and milk beside the cups on the tray, checked the kettle's whistle to make sure it was firmly seated, and finally went in search of the young woman around whom she had built the last decade of her life, her already much rebuilt life. She did not find her. What she found was inexplicable. The beautiful little glass lamp, fallen from the table directly into the trash bin. What appeared to be muddy footprints crossed the freshly polished wood towards the front door. Her startled gaze flew upwards, only to snag against an even greater impossibility. A slim knife, stained with red, jutting from the plaster beside the bay window. Her breath stopped. No. One of their experiments. It had to be a jest, some thoughtless... Mrs. Hudson forced her legs to move into the room. 2 steps, 3, before an even more horrifying sight came into view. A pool of blood in 2 halves, some 8 inches apart, one thick and long as her arm, the other shorter and much smeared about, both beginning to go brown at the edges. Drag marks leading towards the front door, a terrible amount of blood. And with this sight, with that scream of red across her polished floor, Mrs. Hudson abruptly knew what the faint odor was, the one that had picked around the edges of her mind and made her feel uneasy the moment she walked into her kitchen. It was the smell of gunshot.